questions before we go on into our main questions. All right, so Kyrie, you're up for the first question.
Yeah. I forgot about the lock that she couldn't get it off too. I always seem to forget that because I get so caught up in the fantasy of, it's not a fantasy, but when I'm reading Rose City, it's a fantasy of being stalked and, being tracked and all that stuff. And I'm just like, oh, that's, so I always seem to forget about the little, she can't get it off. But I was just like, if I can't get something off, it's coming off. I don't care how expensive it is. I got the bolt cutters or something. It's coming off because that's just doing too much. All right. So our first question for today is, when Chan told Malia that he knew the owner of the restaurant and could have it open specifically for them, I rolled my eyes. Does this type of thing really impress people? Yeah, it does impress people, of course. Why wouldn't it? It's not going to get no draws taken down, but sir, I need to know this knowledge that if I need a restaurant shut down, you can make that call. That is impressive as hell. So I don't know how y'all feeling out here that's not impressed by that, but congratulations that you have risen to a level where, that doesn't impress you. I'm on my way. I'm not there yet. So I was quite impressed by Chan's move there, so I don't see anything wrong with it. Hey, like I said, it's not going past that. Oh, that's wonderful. That's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Didn't make me wet or anything. It's not going to get my draws down, but that's quite spectacular. Good for you. That's wonderful. Great information for me to know. Are you okay, Karina?
We got Nikita coming out a little bit today, baby. I loved it. I had to take off and run. I was like, what?
We can't hear you, Alicia.
Oh, I was just making fun of you. I said, that's the Nikita part. I said, Nikita better bring mother back. Talking about some getting wet and stuff. Mother.
And you better not cut it out either because it was hilarious. I'm going to be looking for it. She was like, okay, I'm going to cut it out. No, ma'am, leave that in there.
Don't be leaving me and Karina out here to be ratchet. You know what we bring it out of you too.
With it.
Just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Well, she said congratulations to people that aren't impressed by it. Thank you very much. I'm not impressed. I could care less. I'm like, bro, okay. And a matter of fact, I'll be like, nah, I don't think he got pulled like, I don't know. I wouldn't. That's probably why I'm single, forever single. I rolled my eyes as well. I read that and I'm like, all right, nigga, whatever. You probably paid somebody. Don't act like you just made a call and had that kind of pull. You probably made a really big deposit on that. But like she said there was nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's something wrong with it. It would be kind of cute, but I don't know. I've been on a date or two where, guys just really like talk themselves up. Because I got this going on and I could make this happen and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, we'll see. And then it never happens. There's always, there's always something going on. Cars in the shop. He had to go stay with his mom, cause I got to help her out, without me, she just ain't gonna live. I had to move her into my house, like, sure. Yeah. All right, bro. So, I'd be like, oh, that's cute that you were able to pull this off or whatever. And then I would like just focus on the rest of the date. The fact that he was able to get it to open, maybe an hour early. No, I'm not. No. So I'll take your congrats. Thank you, babe. Thank you.
Well, I personally would have been very, impressed. Like, oh, okay, you got that kind of pull. But this is the Lily part that comes out of me because now I'm gonna test that gangster, right? I need to see this because, like Alicia said, men do a really great job of like hyping themselves up, and I'm heavy out here and I got this going on, and all that sounds really good. But like, what that got to do with me? Because if you're not sharing, why are you telling? So thank you for letting me know that. Because see, me and my family like to get together every year and have a holiday party, and I would love to shut this place down on Friday night around 8:30. Yeah. So thank you for letting me know that. I'm gonna make sure I put in a call to you, Brother Kong, to make sure that you get all that arranged, and make sure you pay the bill too, because you're a man of means. I liked it, but because I felt like he could really back it up, and that's why I was impressed, because I knew he could actually come through with it because it's a story, right? But in real life, if somebody was to say that to me, I'd be like, oh, okay. All right. Because I can't get impressed in real life until I actually see the action in front of me. But because it's a book, I was like, oh, that's impressive, right? Because we know that Chan can do it and will do it. But yeah, I would have been impressed, but only because I know that he can do it. It's a different story when people are just, showboating and boasting about what they can do, and we ain't seen them produce anything, okay? Not one iota, nothing. So yeah. Was there anything extra with that question? Oh, it was just, does this type of thing really impress people? Yeah, it does. But again, like my Lily comes out and means like you really have to test people's gangster. You really got to figure out what people are about, because people love to say things. And so I want to make you test that. I want to, you said you could do it. Let's do it. And that's how I'm really going to be impressed if you could pull it off. I think the next question is yours, Alicia.
Oh, okay. There we go. I don't know why that button is acting up today. My microphone. Praise God. Okay. Kind of like the icebreaker. Is chivalry dead? The way Chan wanted to open doors for Malia was, was sweet, but it only seems that people behave this way at the beginning of a relationship and stop after a while. Why is that? Well, they got a goal. Like if you're playing a sport, you practice for that game. You whatever the sport is, you practice, and then once you win the game and you got it's in the bag. Now you know what you're doing. You're officially part of the team. You're whatever. So yeah. I think I had kind of tiptoed into that a little bit earlier. I don't know if that was before we re-recorded or start recording or whatever, where I say, yeah, that's how I ended up, walking right into what turned out to be a very toxic marriage. Everything was done right. Doors was open for me. I was treated like a princess, down to the rose petals. We talked about that on Valentine's Day, the rose petals on the bed. I never paid for dinner, lunch, anything, gas in the car, none of that until, later on. Once, he knew, okay, I got this in the bag, this is secure, without telling too much of my business. I was literally told, well, now you belong to me. You signed those papers and you belong to me. And I mean, the game switched. It went from, how people say 0 to 100. It went from 100 to negative 50. Like, it just flew, like, oh, yes, girl. Give us the visuals. Yes, Lord. We gonna praise God today. But that's what happened. Creed over there just, yeah, Nick. I just already know it. But yeah, I don't know why that is. Or maybe it could be. This is just, whatever thoughts, me trailing a little bit. Maybe it could be they lose interest, or they never really had it. We talked about that earlier with Antonio, if he was really serious about ever really being with Malia, or if it was just a conquest, like, okay, that's the one. and I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm a wine and dine her. I'm a blah blah blah. And then once he got her in the bag, it's like, all right, I got it. On to the next. What's my next conquest? You know, and so I would think maybe that's it. They lose interest, or they never really had interest or genuine interest in the beginning. They just wanted to have you, maybe. But yeah, I talked about that earlier today too, about, you know, guys doing everything right. You know, being that man, being that guy, the one you call your homegirls about. Girl, you won't believe this shit. Let me tell you what he wore. Let me tell you how he smelled, the way he held me. You know, he paid for everything. He even, when we were waiting in line, he started massaging my shoulders a little bit. He sucked the soul out of my fingers. Like, girl, he just did it, okay? In the words of mother, got me wet. I mean, you know, the ones you call your homegirl, you know, there's dusties that you may, you know, entertain to be nice or whatever. You ain't gonna like mess with them. They don't get the draws or nothing, but it's just kind of like, okay, dude, all right, blah, 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 blah. But I'm talking about them ones that you call your girls about, where you be like, girl, I gotta tell you this, you know. Yeah. So I don't know why that changes though. You know, one day maybe we'll have a guest, I don't know who, but have like a kind of a male perspective sometimes where you're like, why do you niggas do this? Like, what's wrong with y'all? Why
I keep
y'all like
campaigning for Lamar to come through. Lamar, if you're watching this, it's time for you to come out, sir. We've been campaigning for you. We've been
yeah,
asking you by name. Okay?
because it's like, yeah, we have to come through. Because sometimes, you know, we just, not any of the toxic bull crap, but I'm talking about like a genuine, like, you know what? Yeah, in my younger days, you know, maybe some Derek Jackson action, even though he's an asshole. But you know what I mean? You know how Derek Jackson, before all that shit came out, you know, we was listening to, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. You know, he'd be like, you know, if a nigga do this, blah, 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 it's because this is what he's thinking and blah, blah, blah. You know, so, because we could sit here all day and think about, you know, how men, you know, act and blah, blah, blah. All we could really say is our feelings about how they act. We don't know why or what's going through their heads as to, you know, why you do all that to get me. Because, you know, when the relationship ends and when you're hurt, that's the first thing you ask. Well, why did you do all this? I thought that you loved me. I thought that you cared about me, you know. And they be, oh, that's on you. Choose better. You should have chose better. You know, it's on us. So, yeah, I don't know why, you know, they do everything and then, you know, turn around and it blows up, you know, not for everybody. You know, you two men should be married and stay married. Me, I can give y'all some stories, but, yeah, you know, I have experienced chivalry. I can't say it right. Just for it to turn around and be something else later on. So maybe it's me. I don't know. I don't know why. That's my answer. I don't know.
It's definitely not you. Definitely not you.
Oh, it could be.
No,
I got issues.
No, I have 4 brothers and a daddy who called himself a pimp. Trust me, it's game. Go ahead, Kyrie.
Well, I definitely think your analogy about it being a game was spot on. You know, not for all men, but for most. And there are your select few that, you know, they're interested and they're going to put their A game on, do all this stuff where they've been told or taught this is how you get a woman, you know, but they haven't been taught how you keep a woman, you know. And so after they got that woman, and then it's like, okay, those things fall off that you did to get a woman. Now, oh, I got to do this forever. And that's where you weed out the real ones from the flakes, because when it's time to sign up for forever, they don't want to do that stuff. Oh, I'm going to do this for, no, you're mine now. I ain't got to do that, you know? And I know I've had to learn that. And, you know, my first situationship, I mean, he treated me bad, but I was just so grateful to have my little piece of a man I put up with it, and he was the only one that I was hearing "I loved you" from, and I wasn't getting that from anywhere else. So I put up with it. And so after I ended things with him, and years later found myself in another situation. He hit me with that line too, Lily. Well, now that we're married, I own you. You're mine. I don't have to do what I did before. And it changed. And I got to thinking one day, and I'm just like, I don't understand why people treat me this way. And I learned that I didn't see enough worth in myself to demand somebody else to treat me like I'm worthy. And so got myself out of that, and I just started working on myself. Like, I will never, ever, ever let somebody else come in my life and disrespect me, and not hold me to the standard that I have for myself, so I had to raise the bar for myself, and then, not put up with anything else from, anybody else, and I think that's the biggest thing with men. They do it because a lot of women allow them to get away with it. And we still come back again and again and again and excuse their BS. We try to give them the benefit of the doubt. We want to see their potential. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Let's stop. We got to stop. We got to stop. So if we stop accepting it, maybe they'll stop doing it, or maybe they'll, flip around and go give another man some of that BS because we don't want it. So they gonna switch teams. Congratulations, y'all can give that to each other. We don't need it. So let me see if that was part of the answer. Yeah. So they stopped because they weren't in it. It's not in them. It's not in their heart. It wasn't genuine, and that's how you weed out the flakes. As soon as you see that chivalry stop, oh, well, you can see yourself out same way you came in. And if we do that, we're going to help them raise that bar, or else they can go to hell.
Well said, and well said. Let me go back over this one. The reason why chivalry stops after a relationship has been going for a while. Again, we talked about people get comfortable, right? You stop doing the things that you once did to get the person because there's no demand for you to do better. What would happen if more women, and even men who are in relationships with women and they're giving their all and they're doing right by her, and she stops doing the things that she was once doing? What happens if people just start walking away? I don't know. Something has changed in me. I don't have it in me to constantly have these meaningless conversations that are going anywhere. Something in me has changed so dramatically that when I start to see what people are on, baby, I'm giving out the deuces. You know what I'm saying? And all of this about, I own you. I got paperwork. Do I got another piece of mail over here I can tear up? Because I'm telling you, my husband told me when we first got married years ago, he's like, well, you're my wife and you have to. And I said, for what reason? I got paperwork on you. I said, give me that piece of paper. I'll tear it up here in your face. I mean, I hurt his feelings so bad, and I meant that. I will tear up any little piece of paper in your face. I am not a building. I'm not an apartment. I'm not a car. I'm a human being. Nobody has paperwork on me. I wear my ring when I want to wear it. If I don't feel like wearing it, I don't. I'm still married though. Feel me? All this people got to put a leash on somebody. I'm not no effing animal. You don't put a leash on nothing over here. Okay? I'm an individual who's in a union with you. You do right or you got to go. And that's straight up. People stop doing things because it's okay. I'm never going to be a woman who's going to beg a man to buy me flowers. If you don't see the value in buying me flowers, that's fine. But if somebody else starts buying me flowers, don't get upset. I'm not saying I'm going to have a side dude or entanglement. But what I'm saying is that relationships do fall apart. This is something I always say every day. Every morning you wake up, you make a decision to stay married and stay faithful. And people are like, no, when you stood at that altar and you said I do, you made the choice. No, the choice is being made daily. And people are like, no, that's not true, because the choice is being made daily. Because that one day when that person woke up and decided today's the day I filed those papers to end this relationship, that was a choice that was made. You make a choice every day to stay faithful. You make a choice every day to keep showing up, to be your best, to show this person how much you love them. Stop taking people for granted. Male and female, stop taking people for granted. Okay? The reason why chivalry stops because people don't see enough within themselves to be like, you know what? I deserve better than that. So people are so worried about having a little piece of a woman, a little piece of the man, that they'll keep dealing with stuff. And then women We seem to think that the more we cry and whine, why? Rick did it for Samantha. I'm good to you. He doesn't care about what Rick gave to Samantha. He's not Rick and you ain't Samantha. If I have to keep explaining to you all the ways in which I want to be loved, that's a really clear indication that maybe we've grown apart. Maybe we're just not compatible anymore. Because instead of me constantly running to you, telling you what I need, I want you to be like, what could I do to improve myself? And I literally see you do that, not me have to be like, well, I would really like if you gave me a back massage more. I really like. I mean, when I cook dinner, I'm constantly like, was that macaroni and cheese okay? Because I tried some, I'm asking questions like, is this because I can be heavy handed with salt? I don't know what my problem is. So I have to be really, really careful. But I'm constantly critiquing myself. Babe, is that okay? Come try this. Or I'll just ask them sometimes. We'll just be laying in bed talking. And I say, I know we've been together for a long time. And it becomes easy to be like two ships in the night, where you're working, you're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. And, you can kind of pass each other by. But what can I do for you? Is there anything that you need me to be working on? We should be asking our partners what they need. The partner shouldn't be somewhere screaming at the wife, I need this. And she's like, I don't care. That's a good way to not be in a relationship. And then what happens is you start that psychotic cycle up with somebody else. And now, Emily, I loved her so much. And she took me for granted. And she's like, oh my God, he does all these wonderful things. She let a good guy go. And then 2 years down the road, she started to be treated like how Emily got treated. And she's like, I see why your first wife left your tail. You ain't doing right by people, right? I think people don't take their relationship seriously. I don't see a lot of people taking relationships seriously nowadays. There's constantly this idea, well, I mean, if it don't work out, I'll just go find me somebody else. Yeah, and that's the reason why you'll have a revolving door of relationships. I told one of my old friends, I told him, you can't keep giving out advice on relationships and you have no credibility. And he's like, what do you mean? I've been in a bunch of relationships. I said, you haven't been in one relationship more than a year. I said, in the last 20 years, there's been a new woman every year. Sometimes two in the same year. I mean, he's a chronic cheater anyway. So there's always somebody, but I'm talking about main people who he really shows up with. You can't go past a year. You can't keep giving out relationship advice. You haven't mastered it. You don't know what that means. You have no clue. So we do see a lot of people, masquerading like Alicia said. It's like a game. It's like, I got a goal. The goal is to do this. And once they accomplish that, it's like, okay, like what more though? What more? Because I'm like, one thing about me and Kyrie, when we always sit down and we're working and we're talking about how to build the brand and do different things, we're always forecasting. We're always, okay, let's line this up. We're always working on what else. In a relationship, you should always be like, you shouldn't just be like, well, we're married, that's it. We should always be building on what's next, what's up next. Like, what can we keep doing to deepen this connection? So that's that.